pounds. It's a lot of shipping weight, and they're kind of big and bulky. So plus the value makes it so it's like stuck in customs. We just got an update from SpaceX that they are go for prop load, by the way. Starship team is go for prop load. That is a great sign, and they said they're going to do that at T-minus 1 hour and 15 minutes, which looks like they're pretty much... That seems like they're right on time. I don't see them... Seems to me like our T-minus is right on the money still. Okay. That's fantastic. What was I saying, though? Oh, yeah. Shipping to Europe. By the way, speaking of shipping to Europe and all that stuff, don't forget, I do have a fun announcement. Speaking of our shop and things like that, we do have a brand new item in the shop that I'm really excited for. Beyond our 1969 collection, which you may or may not be familiar with by now. But we do have some incredible new merch there. But today we actually have something brand new, which I am wearing, and I think it's the funniest, craziest thing. We do have these new Lox socks. So it's a pack of 3. You get Methalox, Carolox, and Hydrolox, and they're all kind of based on, you know, approximate representations of the flame color of each exhaust. So I am wearing them as we speak, and yeah, we don't. You guys don't pay enough for a foot cam, but there's the best you're gonna do. I just kidding. That is the dumbest stuff. But we do have. I'm wearing Methalox socks today, and good luck for today's Methalox rocket. Of course, Methalox being liquid methane and liquid oxygen. We do have these. These are going to make great gifts for anyone looking for some fun gift ideas for a family member. Send them this link to Methalox socks. everydayastronaut.com/shop. And yeah, and while you're at it, don't forget, we do, of course, have things like our color changing heat shield. We've got a jogger set. This, unfortunately, is not loading. Let's see if... there we go. I just hadn't reloaded it for a little bit. But we do have things like our umbrella as well, and our full-scale model rocket as well, which is what I'm holding on to. Like I said, this thing's heavy because it's made out of metal. And we are really working hard to get our next model out, which is our Mercury collection. So... old school Mercury Atlas, Mercury Redstone, a 2-pack of rockets to the same scale as the 1/100, which I think is the only scale that makes any sense for anything. We will be having a metal Mercury Atlas and Mercury Redstone, and it is so fun to see them to scale because the Mercury Redstone is like smaller than just the upper stage and the Dragon capsule. And then when we see Mercury Atlas, it's like not much bigger than this. So it's really fun to see. That's my whole goal, is that someday we'll have a rocket collection of basically, you know, a lot of historic rockets. So everydayastronaut.com/shop. Get yourself something fun for the holidays or for a loved one. It is a fun way to support the shop. Support the stream. Support the... Oh. Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you so much, Mark Farrington. Greatly appreciated. Okay, been around since Demo 2. Thanks to you and your team for all you do. Great launch coverage. Thank you so much. We got a lot of thank yous. I love... This is great. Yeah, Demo 2 was quite the stream. I got locked out of the car. Do you remember that, Andrew? Of course you remember that. I got locked out of the car, which is where I was streaming from. It was like peak COVID craziness, where like I streamed from my car, so COVID protocols were... I think I even wore a mask in my car when I was like hundreds of feet away from people. That is the weird... What a weird time. So crazy. But yeah, I got like locked out of the car. It was raining, but it ended up being an awesome launch. That was a super fun situation. This is from Daniel Evans. Thanks for all you do. Best birthday present ever. I wish I could have made it down there. Oh, thank you so much for saying thank you, and happy birthday, Daniel. And hope that we actually light a big old candle here today down in South Texas for you. That would be something very fun. When will we start seeing test flight of refueler Starship? I mean, that could be as early as next year. We could potentially see refueling of between 2 Starship vehicles. But they'll really probably have to have both pads operational by then. You'll really have to have 2 vehicles able to launch in rapid succession to be able to do the refueling test, or who knows, if they do 10 launches by next year, if they're truly landing these every time and feel good about reflying the booster, we could potentially actually see the dream of like landing a booster, you know, that just launched, stacking another rocket, doing a prop test at first, and launching like 3 or 4 days later. I mean, I think that's still a little out of the question for now, but I don't see that being impossible. I see things trending, and that's the important thing to remember. Whenever there's, you know, someone that's skeptical of this whole program and says like, oh, they've wasted $4 billion for what? This? It's like, look at the trend of where this is going. Is it getting worse or is it getting better? It's getting better. And it's a fixed, so far, you know, NASA has spent a fixed amount on this. So unlike SLS and things like that, which are $4 billion a year, regardless of if there's a launch or not, this is $4 billion for the program to deliver humans to the moon, period. So we're just gonna see this thing pick up, and things are trending towards getting better, faster, more powerful, more efficient, more payload, more capable, quicker turnaround times. Everything about it is trending towards improvement. I don't know if any other, you know, the Falcon 9 did that same thing. The Falcon 9 started off, you know, with a launch every other year at first, and now they're launching over 100 times in a year. And it's trending towards just continuing to pick up pace. Starship's going to do that same thing, but I think on a whole nother level that we won't even be able to recognize today. Oh man, I don't even want to put that one up. It's too negative. Pirate Chris, thank you so much for your support. Let's see here. I will let you know, the Ehrenberg, about problems I have with static flaps, reduce complexity, but also reduce control. Yep, that's pretty much it. And I'm sure the engineers have been looking at ways to avoid to avoid moving front flaps or moving rear flaps. You know, if they can keep anything static, it is better. But we'll see. We'll see. Sorry for the sniffles. Fighting a cold here. Do you know if SpaceX have any plans for building a space laser relay network for Mars and beyond Mars missions? Love the work you're doing. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I think that is definitely the idea. Is someday they'll launch a set of Starlink satellites to Mars. You only need a few to be able to provide the coverage necessary. Of course, no matter what, you're limited. Even with Starlink, you know, your latency isn't necessarily your bandwidth limited right now, but latency can never improve because you can't move faster than the speed of light for communication. At least not that we know of yet. And so therefore, even if you have, you know, gigabit internet, it will still take 20 plus minutes to be able to relay information from Mars back to Earth, depending on where it's at in its relative orbit compared to Earth. What's the cost per launch? Currently, you know, several million, especially when they're losing hardware. You know, you could imagine that. Let's pretend the Raptors, you know, we heard a while ago they were at $1 million a launch, or $1 million per Raptor. Let's just pretend that is the number. Let's say 1 million for a Raptor and 2 million for the RVAC. I don't know, making up numbers. Let's go less conservative. Let's say those numbers are some crazy accounting. Let's say they're $2 million an engine and $5 million per RVAC. You have on the upper stage right there, you have, what did I say? 2 and 5. So you have $6 million plus 15. You have $21 million in engines. Plus, let's say you have $60 million in the launch vehicle, in you know, labor hours and hardware costs. You have $60 million put up into the rest of the upper stage. So that's $81 million thrown away. Totally making these numbers up. Totally throwing away $80 million every launch in hardware. The booster being recaught but not reflown still costs a relative amount of money. Say again, $66 million for the engines if we're being extremely pessimistic based on the $1 million figure, doubling it just to stay pessimistic. And let's say there's another, again, $60 million in building the booster. No idea. Probably much less than that, though, to be honest. It's actually, obviously the RNG is expensive, but the material itself, nothing too crazy. So again, maybe we're at, you know, $120 million for the booster. So let's say very pessimistically, we're at $200 million for launch. Very pessimistic. That's still cheaper than any super heavy launch vehicle by several orders of magnitude. Or maybe not several, but by at least an order of magnitude, because $2 billion would be pretty cheap for a super heavy lift vehicle. Like I said, I think the real numbers, realistically, again, it's hard to separate because, you know, we have, you know, fixed costs or costs that are on top of this, like the factory that's growing, and it's expense, it's an investment. Where do you put that, you know, in the cost of this? It's hard to qualify, and I'm not a good enough accountant to even know that kind of stuff. But I think as far as the hardware goes, I think it's actually relatively cheap, honestly. You know, I'm guessing, considering it only takes months, let's say there's 1,000 technicians making $100,000 a year. Oh God, why am I doing this math on air? That's still $10 million a month or something. We're getting too deep on math. This is just too deep in math. Math is not something we want to be doing right now. Let's say, I'm guessing realistically the hardware costs something like $60 million for the whole stack, and prop load, you know, we're talking a couple $1 million for propellant. Eventually, as they reuse that, it will hopefully become just the cost of propellant and some checkouts and some, you know, the fees for launching and the fees for the range control. Oh, we're seeing even more action now that we're within 1 hour. This is a great sign. This is a fantastic sign. So they won't actually be loading the vehicle until about 10 minutes from now, but the fact that the tank farm is really spinning up, and yeah, this is great. Looks like they are moving in the right direction. It looks like SpaceX posted the banana for scale on X. Let's see. Let us see this. My tabs are on this. And I apologize. Banana for no. SpaceX was it on the store? Okay, so SpaceX put this banana for scale on their store. That is hilarious. We might need that. It's 4 foot tall, so that's what 1.2 meters tall. 1.3 meters tall. That is hilarious. Yep. So they are selling that now. So that shows how big it is. The banana in the hands there is what's actually the true banana scale. That is hilarious. These are fun shots of that too. That's awesome. Thank you for. I love that kind of stuff from SpaceX. Something silly and goofy like that. Oh, is this pre-sale on a spacesuit too? I hope that's life size. Please be 1-to-1 scale, so I can scare everybody even more than my. Okay. Anyway, SpaceX shop doing cool things. Appreciate that. Anyway, where are we at here? What is the worst case scenario for Flight 6? Apologies if this has been asked and answered. No, I mean, I haven't actually heard it this time. Great question. Again, get your questions out now because we still got an hour of watching paint dry of filling up a rocket with propellant. But we are excited that it is moving in that correct direction. I mean, the worst case scenario, of course, is that something catastrophic happens on the launch pad and they lose the vehicle on the launch pad and they damage the infrastructure, including the launch tower, the launch mount, the tank farm. Like, that is the worst case scenario. The amount of propellant in that vehicle, obviously it's not all going to explode. You know, if they did lose it, it'd be more of an extreme deflagration and a huge fireball, and it'd be some explosive elements, but it wouldn't all be a pure detonation. So when you do see figures of how much potential energy it has, you know, comparing it to like a nuke, it doesn't explode the same way a nuke does, where it's not all a perfect mixture, you know, because you have tanks separating and things spreading out at different times. The mixture ratio isn't perfect. You'll have a big explosion and a big fireball, but it's not like a giant instantaneous detonation. Even if in the worst case scenario, that's just not how this stuff works. But anyway, that would be bad for most of our cameras. It'd be bad for Mr. T, our remote camera. It could even be bad for some of these cameras, like way out here at 1.5 miles, honestly. 2.5 kilometers. That, you know, you never know. But as far as a public safety standpoint, they do obviously clear everyone within a 5-mile radius, or the closest the public can be is about 4 miles. So yeah, so just under 8 kilometers is how close the public can be. You'd hear it. You'd probably feel the shockwave of a massive explosion like that, but it wouldn't do any damage at that distance. So that does some stuff. That would be the worst case scenario. The next worst case scenario, I think, would be if they tried to do the catch and the booster crashes into the launch structure. That would be bad. I think that'd be. We got a big tower event now. That is a great sign. Yes. Things moving in the right direction for a launch today. Have they done any changes to the tower? Not anything massive. They replated some things that were kind of toasty. But I don't think there's any major updates to the tower. I think at this point a lot of the focus is going on Tower 2, on Tower B. That's where all the engineering and hard work's going. Otherwise, this tower's kind of peaked. You know, it's peaked as far as its capabilities, and now hopefully Tower 2 is a lot more capable of a rapid launch cadence. But yeah, the tower itself, I think, are relatively similar between A and B. Obviously, there's going to be some updates. But I think the main thing is the launch mount and the ground system there supporting the booster. Nag H asking, hey Tim, the Indian Ocean is roughly between UTC +1 and +7. When the Starship lands, it's between midnight and 6 a.m. Wouldn't that be mostly dark? Well, it is I'm guessing it's on the later side of that, and it is the southern hemisphere, of course. So it is going to be experiencing longer days than we are here in the northern hemisphere. I don't know enough about the time zones of where it's actually re-entering. It's just north of Australia. So what's on the west end, Western Australia time? What time is that? 5:05 a.m. and I'm guessing sunrise is. Let's see, Perth sunrise. 5:06. So sun's rising already in Perth, and we still have another 2 hours to go before Starship makes its appearance over the Indian Ocean. So my guess is by that simple math, by that quick dummy check, it does seem like it'll be re-entering. I'm assuming if SpaceX says they're going to have it re-enter during daytime, that's exactly what's going to be happening. I don't think they'd mess up time zones that much, hopefully, on a rocket. Yeah, that hopefully answers that question. Let's keep going here. This is from PA Nissen. How much of Astro Awards will be sent live to YouTube? Unfortunately, this year we're focusing very hard on the in-person content. So things will be recorded, and a few things will be posted on the main channel, including the Astro Awards themselves will be posted later. But just to make it a better experience for everybody, for those attending and for those of you that end up watching the Astro Awards later on, we're recording it only and not doing a live stream of it. So there will not be, and it's not necessarily, we're not like, oh, I hope that you come in person, because it'll only be in person. It's really just because last year, we did a pretty good job. I'm really proud of the live stream that we produced, actually, but we only had that one thing. And this year with programming for 2 full days of programming, we just had to focus on making sure the programming is good. And we also might have our live assets tied up at the same time, by the way, for something else that we'll get to later on. But there's a chance that those two things can overlap. So we're just focusing purely on it being in person and recording and posting later. And yeah, this is now your friendly reminder that Astro Awards, put it in your calendars, January 25th and 26th, 2 full days of panels, speeches, keynotes from some of the industry leaders. And of course, we're not fully filled out on sponsors yet, but we are excited that our key sponsor this year is actually Space Force. So we're really excited to work with Space Force. They're going to have some in-person simulators and things like that too. We've got an FAQ here for you guys, but don't forget we're going to have, some of these panels are amazing. We have Charlie Duke, Apollo 16, Moonwalker. Charlie Duke is going to be doing a keynote, and he's on a panel as well. We have the crew of Polaris Dawn coming. We have representatives from all the most exciting missions of the year. I assume that Starship will get nominated for an Astro Award. And remember, Astro Awards aren't a specific, there's no categories. It's just things that were awesome that happened in the calendar year 2024. Missions, science, launches, whatever. So it's up to you guys. It's kind of, we all vote on it, and we all decide who or what organization to recognize the talent, the hard work of the people that make these things happen. That's what the Astro Awards are all about. It's not like who's going to get the best the best merch of the year. None of that. It's not about that. It's about the engineers, the hardworking technicians, the people that are building and doing the science behind these missions. We're there to celebrate that. And now it's turning into a 2-day full-on event with panels. It's going to be awesome. Like I said, we're already unfortunately sold out of our top 2 packages. So if you want to join, be in person, you better do it right now. AstroAwards.live. Again, AstroAwards.live. Come see me. Come see the crew of Polaris Dawn, representatives from SpaceX and probably from NASA and anyone else that flew. I think Vulcan, is being nominated this year for getting off the ground and having a great first test flight. But yeah, check it out at AstroAwards.live. You have 66 days. We will see you in Austin, Texas, and it'll be a heck of a party. It'll be really fun. So get there. Like I said, it's selling out. So seriously, do it now. If you're thinking about doing it for a holiday gift, by the way, we are working on a ticket thing that you can print out and put in an envelope for a friend or family member if you want to surprise them and say, hey, because people like to have something to open instead of it being like, by the way, one of your gifts is we're going to Austin for the Astro Awards. Instead, you can give them a ticket that we made that Allie whipped up. It's really fun. And also, Scott Manley will be at the Astro Awards. That's true. Scott Manley will be there. Jack Beyer, Eric Berger, Lori Garver. It's stacked. I can't even remember half the people. Cyan Proctor from Inspiration 4. Yeah, it's It's the place to be. It's the place to be. Proton Panda, would you consider conducting live streams for major achievements of launch vehicles? One such launch vehicle is going to perform its 2000th launch attempt early next year. I assume that's about Proton. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I would definitely wait. What would be 2000th launch attempt next year? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we stream. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, Soyuz might become, our 7 rocket family might be coming up on that number, maybe. I'm trying to picture what 2000 would be. That's a lot. But anyway, yeah, I mean, we can't probably do it in person because of how hard it is to live stream in person. You'll see on our tour when we do infrastructure. Just by the way, yeah, it looks like prop load is actually go. Because we are at that loading time. This is exciting. Baby, baby, baby. Remind me, guys, at T-minus 30 minutes, that's what we're going to do. We're our systems check here. We're going to do pointy end up, flaming end down checks. We're going to do all the checks. Remind me, T-minus 30 minutes, that is our internal check. Although, when is the propellant load is underway. So we are officially loading the vehicle for propellant. Launch is continuing to go. We are T-minus 48 minutes, 35 seconds. Things are moving in the direction of seeing a launch and hopefully another exciting landing catch attempt of Super Heavy Booster. Oh, I'm excited. That just got me stoked. Thank you, Discord, for bringing that to my attention. Another from Dog One, another excitement guaranteed. Absolutely, 100%. Nobody, thank you so much. That's a good name. Thank you so much for the support. Cameron Thompson, longtime viewer, first-time chatter. Is SpaceX still going to have Starship perform point-to-point transportation? Again, eventually, I don't see, as things move in that direction, that becomes more of a possibility. You know, I don't like any definitive answers on any of these things, but the reality is, yeah, that could be a reality if this thing's flying super regularly. And as the system evolves and becomes more reliable, then sure, something like that could potentially happen. I mean, there's going to have to be a lot of changes in regulation and safety and all of the things before it becomes a commercially viable option to transport people across the world in 30 minutes. But I want to live in that world, and I'm going to cheer for it, and I'm going to cheer for all the progress for that, because that does sound absolutely amazing. From Oxide Dragon, how do you think SpaceX will get the space station out of orbit? P.S. I'm not sure what Dave DeNoodle means. P.S. Cool. How will they get out of orbit? They're basically modifying a Dragon to have a whole bunch of aft-facing thrusters. It's going to be like a based on the Dragon XL. That'll be a deorbit vehicle, just full of hypergolic propellant and a bunch of thrusters. They'll just push it and slow its orbit down until it re-enters. It will be awesome and sad. Awesomely sad. It'll be awesomely sad. From Cameron, also longtime viewer, first-time chatter. Oh, wait, we already did that one. Sorry. Fellow Iowan stopping by to thank you for all you do for all of us rocket nerds. Thank you so much, Carter. Yay, Iowa. Appreciate that. All right, Roger saying these every other month launches and catches are cool. How well received will they be when there's 6 launches per Mars rocket and 20 catches using those ideas? Who would tolerate a 5-shift mission? I mean, that's, yeah, like I said, someday there will probably have to be sonic boom mitigations just to make it so the local people that live here aren't just absolutely annoyed with multiple launches a day. You know, that would be annoying. That'd be very annoying. Yeah, they'll have to do some mitigation. There are some things they can do in the flight profile to soften the sonic booms a little bit. How long it'll be before they have the performance margin to do anything like that, I don't know. But there are some things. There are some things. From Jake, if there was one launch in history you could go back and see in person, what would it be? I think the best answer to that would be Apollo 11. I mean, come on. If you could see July 16th, 1969, standing there at Pad 39A, shooting the first launch of humans going to the moon on the Saturn V rocket. I mean, come on. That would be the one launch that I wish so bad I had my own footage of. And that's some of that FOMO of being born in the wrong era, I guess, the wrong decade. Is what drives me, and I think a lot of us at this team, to capture this content in the highest quality we can, which is why we put so much time, effort, money love, sweat, blood, and tears into capturing this, because this is only going to happen for the first time once. And there's a lot of exciting milestones right now, and I don't want to look back at 30 or 40 years and go, oh man, our footage was garbage, you know. Imagine if we had this. You know, we're pushing the envelope of what we can do now, 420 frames a second and global shutter 5K cameras. We're doing the absolute best we can with the means that we have. Again, that's thank you to you guys. I don't want to be missing out on the future, and I don't want to be missing out on future generations. So this is what it took to get humans to back to the moon and eventually to Mars. I want to be able to document this. So proud of us. Working towards this goal of documenting it. As the vehicle matures and gets more and more quick reiterations and more reliable, so does our live stream, so does our equipment. We just keep upgrading this every single time. Literally, after launch, we sit down and say, what do we need? And we just reinvest. We go right back into it. So you'll see, again, like I said, we'll be working on a tour, kind of an update of all the last time I did see that was when we built our production room. We'll be doing another thing, kind of showing you all the behind the scenes of how we produce a live stream today. And it's wild. It's really, truly wild. It is getting to be, I don't even know, well over $250,000, probably closer to $500,000. I have no idea how much time, money, you know, I pay people. How much do we have into this thing? It's a lot, and I'm very proud of our team. So proud of the work we do. So sorry if I've gone on that a few times. I've had more time to soak this in. I've had more time to soak this in this trip than other trips because of the timeline. So I've just been so appreciative of our team. Absolutely amazing people. So thanks to Paul Dirks for being a member and supporting the work we do here. Hello from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Longtime follower. It was clear the arms were adjusted during the booster catch. What tracking tech is used for a catch? I don't know how active the arms actually are, or if it's all like pre-programmed. I kind of think it's a pre-programmed maneuver. I don't think the arms are like steering. I think it's literally the booster is expected to be at this point at this time, and the arms would be at this point at this time. It's a coordinated effort. I don't think it's necessarily like a synchronized, feedback loop of any kind. I don't think, but I could be wrong. This is my Everyday Astronaut theme song written out. I don't know what the Everyday Astronaut theme song is, but I do appreciate the SpongeBob from Monk. Everyday clap clap, everyday clap clap, everyday clap clap, everyday astronaut. That is a great theme song. I will write that into some music. Hell yeah, we'll make a new intro again. We redid our intro, so instead of it being 4 minutes, it's 3 or 2.5 minutes, which I think is a lot fun. Sorry for writing some new songs. That sounds like that one. 10 seconds. Let's see. Matthias, why doesn't the booster telemetry show the speed reaching 0 during its flip and boost back, even though it appears to decelerate in reverse? Great question. Here's why. It's never at 0 velocity relative to anything. Even when it cancels out its horizontal velocity, it's still likely going up. So you can see its altitude is still climbing. So therefore, it still has vertical velocity. And then when its vertical velocity reaches back out, it's already been traveling at a horizontal velocity. So it goes up and it kind of goes like this loop pattern. It doesn't go straight up. The booster's not going straight up, stopping like New Shepard. When you see on Friday, my friend and fellow space communicator Emily Calandrelli is going to space on a New Shepard vehicle, which is going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch that. If I'm available, I'll probably even try to stream it, but I'll for sure be watching that because that's really cool to see a friend going to space. That'll be awesome. But the New Shepard vehicle, because it's suborbital, and again, this isn't a dig to suborbital vehicles. There's a lot of engineering, incredible things go on to make that happen. It goes up and it does literally stop because it's going straight up and straight down. Actually, it tends to have like a tiny bit of horizontal. I mean, we're talking like maybe 5 kilometers an hour or something at the peak of horizontal velocity because it doesn't come quite straight back down. Maybe, I don't know. It's basically straight up and straight down. The booster doesn't do that. On an orbital mission, because you need to get going horizontally, you need to have a lot of horizontal velocity to actually reach orbit. 17,500 miles an hour, about 28,000 kilometers an hour. You need to get a lot of that horizontal velocity. The booster has to do a good amount of that work. Normally about a quarter to a third to some rockets are over half the amount of work is put in by the booster. Because of that, though, when it lets go of the upper stage, this is This is sacrilege. Let's pretend this is the booster in the upper stage of Starship. Goes up, takes off as it's flipping, and as it's going like this, you know, as it's still going horizontal, they're canceling out that horizontal by firing backwards, but it's still going up. It's a loop. It's like this. It's kind of drifting almost. You can imagine it like that. So at no point is it stationary relative to Earth. So, oh yeah, we need more sound effects, sorry, and all that stuff. That would be kind of how that works. So I hope that answers your question. It never reaches zero velocity on both axes of vertical and horizontal. We do have a frost ring growing, some physical, in-person, eyeball, ocular witnesses that a launch is still go. That is fantastic. What time, by the way, SpaceX stream is probably coming up soon. Okay, so because SpaceX's stream is soon, let's do one more check here with our team. I don't want to interrupt the SpaceX stream as much as possible, but the important things here that I want to share with you guys before we listen into the SpaceX stream. Number one, January 25th, 26th, get your butts to Austin, Texas. We're running out of room. We're selling out of tickets quickly. We're already sold out of all VIP, orbital, and apogee access tickets. We still, I think we're probably over halfway sold out already of the rest of our general admission for the Astro Awards. So if you want to see myself, you know, like I said, an Apollo astronaut that's walked on the moon, Charlie Duke, the crew of Polaris Dawn, representatives from SpaceX and a lot of other awesome companies, including people like Jack Beyer, John Krause, Cyan Proctor, Eric Berger, a lot of people from the spaceflight community. Robert Zubrin's going to be doing a talk and a panel. We're going to have 2 days of panels, 2 days of party and talks and fun, and then the Astro Awards themselves. Get yourself there, astrooawards.live. Get tickets before they're sold out, astrooawards.live. And also, again, one more check for our awesome merch. We do have some new merch collection out there. But like I said, today, the exciting one is our new lock socks. So everydayastronaut.com/shop if you're looking for some fun gift ideas. I've also got on the Orbital shirt today, which we've got there in our cargo resupply. But shop around. We've got some awesome stuff. But I'm really excited about our 1969 collection, which we made this collection in honor of the stupid Apollo video that's still been taking me over 6 months to make. So maybe when that video comes out, we'll do some kind of sale and celebration. But for now, get yourself some lock socks, including methyl locks, which is what we're seeing today, care locks, and hydro locks at everydayastronaut.com/shop. Thank you all so much for that. We're getting close to listening in here to everything. I don't want to. Should we be doing our mission control check before? Should we fire that up now, or should we fire up pointy end up, flaming end down check? Because we are. Okay, so everyone on comms. This is a serious thing, by the way. I'm dead serious about this. This isn't just some show thing. Everyone on comms, all Everyday Astronaut personnel, listen in. We are at T-minus 35 minutes. I do want to get a personnel check on all recording assets, and we will pull up mission control here. This is showing our cameras. I want confirmation that Jetty cameras and Dune cameras are both intentionally shut down right now. Okay, we do have confirmation that they are intentionally shut down. We're going to start firing those up. We're trying to conserve battery, so we have relays that are low power mode and high power mode. So we will start powering stuff up now. Again, this is a serious part of our production. I think it's just fun to share because it frankly leads to the excitement. But you can see some of our record-only cameras going live and turning on, powering up, and we can confirm that, yay, our systems are working as intended. This whole interface was powered by our friends at Gwyn Partners, who built this amazing thing. It was basically our mission control. We literally have to use this for health checks. It shows the temperature of our cameras. It shows the voltages. So we can actually chart this all out so we know, hey, everything's still looking good, or we can see data on, oh, we lost it because it overheated, or we lost this camera asset because it, got to, it filled up on things, or it ran out of battery or whatever. We can track issues down. So this mission control has been legitimate for us and helped us to really see all the footage that you guys see in our amazing live streams and in the compilations that we show, our slow-mo footage. So this is awesome. This is, we now see Jetty powered up, and Dune is also powered up. How cool. I mean, that is awesome, right? So we have flipped those on. All operators, though, are ready to go on recording. I believe we will begin recording cameras at T-minus 10 minutes, which we will do another call out on that for confirmation at T-10 to check all cameras. That includes myself. I have a few internal cameras. We're going to make sure we're recording the inside of the studio here, so you see it shaking and everything during launch and re-entry into the sonic boom, as well as my own cameras. But for now, let's do the pointy end up, flaming end down. And is SpaceX actually streaming it? Should we? Okay, we're going to be listening in here, and we'll put them and the audio on as soon as they're up, so that we don't miss any updates from them, since they're the ultimate source of information, obviously. But from this angle, this is a great angle to declare that the pointy end is up, flaming end is down. Oh yeah. Okay, hang on. To really do this right, I'm going to hereby use my years of training to demonstrate that the pointy end equals up and the flamey end equals down. My friends, we are go here at Everyday Astronaut Studios. We're going to be tuning in here to the official SpaceX stream, so you don't have to go anywhere. This is to make your life easier and our life easier, so we can listen in and get any updates as frequently as you guys do. And that's going to be, how do I get rid of this again? Is there like a click or something? There we go. Otherwise, that'd be real annoying. But we're going to be listening in here to the official SpaceX stream and pulling in their views when necessary. But if you tuned into us last time during Flight 5, we had the ultimate tracking shots. We literally had the best tracking that was better than SpaceX, but we'll put them side by side so that if they have onboard footage and stuff like that, you don't miss anything. We want to utilize our 4K stream and all those beautiful pixels as best as possible. So I think are we ready to go on the SpaceX stream? All right, here we go. Off to SpaceX. I'll be here listening and adding commentary when necessary.
Flight 5, making this our quickest turnaround yet between Starship flight tests. Our ultimate goal is to get that turnaround time down to hours.
Following Flight 5, the SpaceX team went to work, immediately implementing lessons learned into the vehicle and tower's hardware and software systems.
We are aware, by the way, of a little bit of kind of audio glitch here. We're working on that issue. We'll try to clean that up as soon as we can. But we don't want to, we don't want to take this off air, so we're going to keep it up even if it's a little bit groggly. Bear with us. We'll get it fixed up.
That we can safely bring the booster back to the launch
And meanwhile, while we work on that, it sounds like we're probably refreshing and working on some new things here. Yeah, we are working on getting that going so the audio is better for you guys. But meanwhile, we do have a few more things to talk about, because obviously we know that we are T-minus 30 seconds. So that means that the booster and ship, you can see frost ring on the booster, you see frost rings on the ship. That is indicative of the fact that that's liquid, that's cryogenic liquid propellant settling at the bottom of these tanks, and it gives you a sense of where the propellant line is because it's icing over. So you literally are seeing a frost line on the outside of the vehicle because the propellant is so cold. Liquid oxygen is, what is it, 183 degrees, minus 183 degrees Celsius, and liquid methane is minus 165 or whatever it is around there Celsius. So it's very, very, very cold. If you went up and touched the rocket while it's full of liquid propellant, yeah, your hand would stick to it, or like the Christmas movie where Ralphie gets his tongue stuck to the pole. That would basically happen with your hand, and it'd get frozen with instant contact upon it. So, all right, here's better audio on the SpaceX stream. I'm going to take a quick little break. I'll be back with you guys. I'm going to be listening in here, though. Meanwhile, let's listen in to SpaceX, get any updates.
The ship prop load started at about T-minus 49 minutes, and then the booster followed just a couple minutes after at about T-minus 41. We're almost halfway full on ship, just about a third on booster. Those are both going to continue until we're about 3 minutes, 20 seconds before liftoff on ship. And then the booster is going to close out in about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So we pretty much are loading up right to that last possible minute, keeping it as dense and cold as possible, and then getting off the launch pad. The countdown startup sequence, everything will look very familiar if you watch Flight 5, assuming you did. But you're going to see the engines start to ignite at about 3 seconds before liftoff. They're going to start off in 3 different groups. First, those center 13, then 15 of that outer ring, and then those final 5 bringing all 33 Raptors online. After that, we'll see about a second later, and then it'll lift off, so a couple seconds from first light until motion. As usual, we can hold at T-minus 40 seconds if we have any last-minute issues to clear, anything with the range, anything that triggers on the vehicle. And if we pass T-minus 10 seconds, the deflector fires, and then we scrub, then we're done for the day for at least 24 hours. But weather is fantastic, light breeze, no clouds in the sky, not tracking any hardware constraints to launch today. If we're not able to get off the pad though, we've got opportunities throughout the week, could be 24 to 48 hours later. But everything looking great. I'm excited to be able to see another one of these get off the pad. Check back in with everybody in just a couple of minutes. Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Now, you could see those two towers in the back there in the distance at Starbase. Starbase is really coming along just as rapidly as Starship itself. That second launch tower will be coming online next year, and it will allow us to increase our flight cadence and test even more frequently. And just a few kilometers away from the two towers, our cutting-edge 1 million square foot Star Factory is nearing completion with the goal of producing hundreds of ships a year.
Yeah, that might sound crazy, and that's because it is. If you can imagine a future where we are flying and catching a fleet of boosters, which is the lower portion of the vehicle, that fleet is actually pretty small compared to the potentially hundreds of ships, the uppermost portion of Starship, that will be flying in that future vision.
Yeah, exactly, Kate. Those ships will be staying in space for long-duration missions to go to the moon or Mars, or become tankers for refueling, or any number of other uses. But the boosters will come back and turn around to launch the next ship. So in order to hit that production cadence of hundreds per year, we're rapidly building out Star Factory, which is our Starship production facility in Texas.
And views of that Star Factory there. Now, this place allows us to move system integration work earlier in the build process, which means more efficiency, higher quality, and ultimately faster production. Starbase is an incredible place to be right now. There really is nowhere else in the world like it. You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Now, what you might be hinting at is the good news is we are hiring. If you love what you're seeing, check out our openings at Starbase. On the engineering side, we're looking for vehicle design engineers across structures, propulsion, and integration.
And if you're a hands-on tech, we're looking for integration technicians and welders that can help us hit our goal of building a Starship every 8 hours. And to do that, we need builders.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need a lot of builders to get that down to just 8 hours.
Right? Now, beyond that, in order to keep Starbase growing, we have all kinds of roles, from baristas to HVAC technicians to EMTs. So, chances are, if you're looking, we have a place for you.
Now,
Visit SpaceX.
one thing I did want to point out real quick, you will notice a little discrepancy in our clocks, and that's actually the delay that we have from SpaceX streaming to X, getting to us putting it up on air. So the cameras will be a little bit out of sync. There's nothing we can do about that, obviously, but we'd rather have as up-to-date information from the official SpaceX sources as possible. So this is just what we can do with with what we have and what is available to us. So notice that will be our clock, though, will be live and synced up to our cameras, which is on the left screen. The SpaceX clock will be synced up to the SpaceX cameras on the right screen. So just to clear that up. And then a friendly reminder, though, again, if you are watching our stream and you are locally here and you can see Starship with your eyeballs, don't be fooled. Again, there's a good 30 to 40 second delay of our stream to your eyeballs. Unless you're here in Mars. I know my parents here are locally, but that is live, real time. But if you're streaming on YouTube and watching this at T-minus 1 minute, that is your call at T-minus 1 minute that you need to be looking at the rocket and not watching your phone, because I don't want you to miss liftoff. So, yeah, that's enough on that. Let's listen back into SpaceX. Oh, look at our view on the left, by the way. You can really get a good sense. But let's listen in.
Which might be hard to tell looking at it on the ship right there, which is why we have a full-scale reproduction of that decal here with us so that you can see the size compared to humans.
Yeah, it is bigger than you think it is. Like Jesse said, it's 3 feet high, and this is full scale, just like the one that was on Flight 5. Now, it is hard to follow Mechazilla, but I do have one better. Bananas have been used for quick visual comparisons for quite some time, and our teammates thought it was time to bring the venerated yellow fruit to Starship.
Today we're flying Starship's first ever physical payload, which is, as you might have guessed, is a banana.
That's a live view inside Starship, and if you look closely, you can see our stuffed banana payload, which is doubling as today's zero gravity or zero G indicator. And while this payload will remain inside the vehicle at all times and will not be deployed today, it did give us a chance to do a test run of payload approval processes with the FAA, and that's something that we're hoping to do next year if we start flying our first Starlink satellites on Starship. Godspeed, banana.
Some additional size for context aid. You can see on your screen a Starlink Mini next to a banana for scale. And to get an even better sense of how big Starship is, let's take the average size banana next to the average size human, which is about 2 meters high. Towering over our average human is the length of the Millennium Falcon, which comes in at 35 meters. Our Falcon 9 rocket with the payload fairing attached is double the size of the Millennium Falcon at 70 meters, and nearly twice the size of that is the fully integrated Starship at 121 meters tall. The ship is about 50 meters, and the Super Heavy booster alone stands 71 meters tall. And we do have plans to make the ship and booster even taller in the future.
And yeah, it might be hard to imagine that because it's pretty big already. Now,
We're gonna
Starship's first stage has a
give a
diameter
little
roughly
quick
2.5
reset
times
again
that
to
of
see if we can
Falcon
fix the
9.
audio. Still
And
clicking a little
as you
bit
can
on
see
the
your
on the
screen,
restream of
with
the X feed.
33
So
much
just give us a
more.
second here. I did want to comment on that. So interestingly, they said that they need to have a payload approval from the FAA. I noticed that they chose something like a felt banana. I wouldn't be surprised if the FAA wants like, any like foreign object debris before this thing goes orbital or whatever. Before they start deploying payloads, maybe they just wanted something that's not space approved to know like could this be any kind of fire risk on re-entry? Could it be outgassing or whatever? It's interesting to me they actually put, and hilarious that the most powerful rocket to ever fly is payloaded a banana, a lightweight banana. Felt banana, or it looks like some kind of plush banana. And meanwhile, other payloads have been like loading it down as much payload as possible, or flying like the Tesla Roadster past Mars, like on the Falcon Heavy mission. Absolutely amazing. The biggest rocket ever flying.
Gravity or zero G indicator.
Pointing it out, but we are aware of it, so spare the comments if you need. But let's tune back into the SpaceX stream if we're ready on that. Oh, we're not quite ready. I think we're doing a bigger reset. I'll keep filling here. So let's answer a few more questions from people, because there are a lot of questions, and I will get to as many as I can. Likely we're going to be sitting and doing a big review after this thing launches and hopefully lands. This is Will Evans. How does ITAR affect the info you can put out? A lot of that, it has to go through review to make sure that nothing's sensitive. And of course, pretty much every rocket factory that I go to, any company that I'm going to that does anything with aerospace, is subject to having potential ITAR considerations. So we always make sure that everything's approved by the companies, and it has a big, heavy layer of safety net to make sure that it's all approved for public consumption. Because at the end of the day, rockets are still considered essentially a weapon system and a way to deliver, nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction globally. That's still the de facto way to do it. That's how this whole thing started, to be honest. That's how we put humans on the moon, is because we wanted to blow up other people across the world, which is a sad reality. ITAR is still a big consideration for any public consumption of anything. So for me, if it's publicly available information that I can find online, then I'm fine. So when I make my own videos, I don't have to consider it really. But when I go and tour a company and produce content, we do have to be very cognizant of it. So, all right, are we good? All right, we're good to listen in. We'll see if it is a little bit better.
Ocean. Now that whole flight test concluded. That splashed down 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds after launch.
Starship's fifth flight test was one of our most ambitious yet, and as we work to demonstrate techniques fundamental to Starship and Super Heavy's fully and rapidly reusable design.
And I think for all of us, when I say that seeing the catch for the first time was an extraordinary moment for the entire SpaceX team. We've seen a lot of wild firsts here, but that was truly an epic moment in time.
Yeah, we're not forgetting that anytime soon. It's certainly one of the best. Now, today's mission profile is very similar to Flight 5, but there are some differences that we've made that we've incorporated as we prepare for future missions. About 20 minutes from now, Super Heavy will ignite its 32 Raptor engines and lift off from Starbase. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the booster will separate from the ship in a hot stage separation. We've seen that occur on multiple flights, including flights 2, 3, 4, and 5. About 2 seconds after that burns, will jettison that hot stage. The booster will perform its boost back, flip and boost back maneuver. And we will once again look to return the booster to the launch site for its catch fire power stops performs. And once again, we will only attempt that if both the booster and tower are healthy after launch. We were successful last time, but we should emphasize that this process is still very new, and this is still just a test, so success is very far from guaranteed. There's always a possibility that we lose the vehicle. It's a contingency that we always have.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while the booster is doing its job, the ship's 6 engines will remain lit for a few minutes before shutting down and then going into the coast phase. The ship will coast for a total of about 40 minutes or so, reaching a peak altitude of approximately 230 kilometers. Now, one additional objective of this flight during coast is an in-space burn using one of ship's Raptor engines. Doing burn while in space will build confidence that we can do deorbit burns, which is a key capability for upcoming orbits. After the coast phase, the ship will attempt a controlled re-entry, and if ship makes it all the way down, will once again perform a flip and landing burn before splashing down in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. Now, there are some notable changes to our entry plans for this flight, and they will intentionally push the ship to, and very likely beyond its limits. This includes several thermal protection upgrades and operational changes as we prepare for future ship catch and reuse. Today's flight test will also test new secondary thermal protection materials, and entire sections of the heat shield has actually been removed in certain areas. And on top of all of that, we're going to fly the ship at an aggressive angle of attack once it's moving slower than the speed of sound.
Now this means we'll be flying nose down instead of our usual belly flop orientation during final descent. This will no doubt stress the limits of the flap's ability to maintain control, but it will be a chance to get real flight data on what our limits actually are.
So, to put it as bluntly as possible, do not be surprised if this is not a smooth flight to splashdown today. We are intentionally looking for how far we can push and discover the vehicle's true limits as we plan for future ship return and catch.
And even though ship recovery is not expected today, the telemetry and data we receive all the way to the end is what we're looking for and what will help us get to a rapidly reusable Starship of the future.
Now, just like Flight 5, one of our
They
objectives
just say they're going to go
for
fling it down. They literally just said they're going to do that.
Caught by the tower.
That's great.
The booster for this flight has upgrades to add redundancy across its propulsion system, increase the structural as well as increase the structural strength and response. We've also implemented a few changes across both ship and tower to try and speed up post-catch time. Returning vehicles to the launch site leverages the same hardware we used for stacking ahead of flight, making our infrastructure multi-purpose. And in order for us to achieve that rapid reusability that we talked about, we need a quick turnaround. And we can't get much faster than turning the launch vehicle right back there to where it needs to launch from again.
Exactly. In this video, you can see our original render of Booster Catch alongside the actual footage of Catch from Flight 5. This video is just mind-blowing to see the predicted versus reality. And just like the last flight for today's Booster Catch, there are thousands of criteria that need to be met in order to proceed with Catch. Automated checks have to indicate we have a healthy booster and a healthy tower, and the flight director must issue a manual command which is informed by manual checks from the flight control team. If this command is not sent prior to the completion of the boost back burn, or if automated health checks show unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy tower, the booster will default to a trajectory that takes it to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
I remember when we first heard the call out that Tower was go for catch on Flight 5, and wow, I still get goosebumps when I think about that moment. Now, for today's test, just like Flight 5, we're only going to catch if everything on the booster and the tower checks out after launch. As always, we accept no compromises when it comes to the safety of the public and our team. And so to that end, the area around the pad and the flight path are cleared in advance.
A lot of things have to go right in order to line up the booster catch, so if all criteria is met, we will attempt to catch, but there is a chance that we may not. Either way, we'll be getting tons of in-flight data, which is extremely valuable.
Exactly. That first catch was pretty epic though, so like you, we'll be keeping our hopes high to see another one this afternoon. Now, Dan, you got to see it in person last time. Are you mentally prepared for a possible round 2?
I mean, probably not. That was pretty hands down the coolest thing I've ever seen, and the fact that we're going to do that every time now breaks my brain a little bit, but it was absolutely incredible. One of the unique aspects with Super Heavy coming back is it does generate a sonic boom. This is something commonly associated with reusable spacecraft. It's coming in faster than the speed of sound and then slowing down. It creates that pressure wave that builds up, and then when it reaches you on the ground, that rapid change in pressure is that quick thunderclap sound that you hear. Now, generally the only effect is that thunderclap sound, but if you're not expecting it, it's definitely going to get your attention, and we were able to hear it last time. The impact of, or how loud it is, changes pretty dramatically. In this video, you can see as we were descending.
Okay, so we're getting close here that our team's kind of need to prepare. I'm going to get outside so I can view this with my own eyeballs again. I'm 5 miles away, 8 kilometers away. We'll be bringing you a view to help you feel like you're here with us and make sure that you're able to watch along with us as well. But meanwhile, we actually are down to our critical time where we have to make sure all of our dozen cameras or whatever, literally exactly a dozen cameras online that are not, these are ones that need to be remote controlled, recording in at least 4K and oftentimes higher than 120 frames a second even for a lot of them, are ready to go. So we're going to pull up our mission control here, again brought to us by Gwyn Partners, who built us a custom control. Am I ready to hit record all, or we want to wait on record all until the last 7 minutes? Okay, so someone else, just to confirm, someone else will be hitting record all, and all operators are ready to go with memory cards and everything else. Seems like we are good to go. Okay, so that being said, our cameras are all good. We are looking fantastic here at Mars. I'm going to step outside. We're going to leave you guys for about 5 minutes with the stream, and I'll be outside to watch this with my own eyes, hopefully this time, and watch a catch in person. Goosebumps are starting to come just thinking about how awesome this is going to be since I was not here for the last one. I really hope the catch happens. Scale from 1 to 10. 10 that is going to launch, and 10 meaning everything that we saw last time. Beautiful launch landing. 0 meaning it's going to scrub for tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. It is looking beautiful out there. I'm hoping. I'm a 10 right now. I really want to see this thing come back and land. So I'll be right back with you guys. We're going to leave you guys here again with SpaceX Stream and their comms up so we can keep any updates. Wish us luck here, everybody. Let's go.
These first flight tests to Mars will be uncrewed and will test the reliability of landing in tech. If those landings go well, the first crewed flights will soon follow after that.
Right now, our flight tests are focused on proving out usability of both Super Heavy and Starship. In 2025, we'll continue that focus while also potentially flying our first Starlink missions and demonstrate capabilities central to our role in taking astronauts to the moon as part of NASA's Artemis program. Starship will be used to land astronauts on the lunar surface on NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will put the first humans on the moon since 1972.
One key capability will be the ability to refuel Starship on orbit, which you can see there on your screen, with a Starship prop tanker docked with a fuel depot. Next year, we're planning to test this capability by launching 2 Starships and having them meet up to transfer tons of cryogenic propellants. Now, when the time comes to land on the moon, Starship will link up with NASA's Orion spacecraft in lunar orbit, where astronauts will transfer over for their descent. Now, once on the lunar surface, they'll ride the elevator down in their Axiom EMU spacesuits from Axiom Space and leave the first footprints on the moon in more than half a century, kickstarting humanity's mission to establish a sustainable presence there. And coming soon to a moon base alpha near you, Starship Enterprise Edition.
That is so exciting, and all the advancements that are going to come in order to enable all of that. Now, our rapid iterative development approach has been the basis for all of SpaceX's major innovative advancements, including Falcon, Dragon, and Starlink.
Absolutely, unbelievably clear today. This is the cleanest I've seen. I think maybe way back in the day, some of the earlier like SN8, SN9 stuff we had, some, and SN10 I remember being really clear. This is the clearest that I have seen this view in a while. This is outstanding. I really hope this thing launches. We are at T-minus 9 minutes, 38 seconds. Again, everything is all go for here, so I am so excited. We got, oh yeah, you can see the lock socks in the shot. There we go. Methyl lock socks, wearing the right socks for the right for the right time here today. Again, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Get your own locked socks for this occasion and any other occasion in life. But I am very, very happy to be here, guys. This is looking absolutely fantastic, and fingers crossed. So let's just listen back into the SpaceX stream here and make sure we're not missing anything. But we are T-minus 9 minutes and right on the dot right now. Let's go.
Starship development is also being aided by Starlink space-based connectivity. You might remember the Starlink panels that are incorporated into Starship, and you can see them there on your screen, those rectangular panels on Starship's nose cone. Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry, and also helps deliver us critical flight data engineers need to continue development.
Yeah, Starlink continues to help us push the limits in space in the short term by providing great views and real-time data on our next few flights, particularly through re-entry, which spaceflight veterans know that is historically a period of blackout for all communications within spaceflight.
Outside of Starship, Starlink has helped people across the globe, particularly in rural and remote areas that have been underserved by traditional broadband internet.
Yeah, and soon, Starship will deploy our next generation Starlink satellites, which will continue to increase our capability to connect even more people with high-speed internet all around the world and beyond. Now, as we continue to prepare for our next several flight tests, we recently performed a cryo-proof test of the Starship for Flight 7, our first operation with the vehicle debuting a number of major milestones. The ship has been stretched to make room for larger propellant tanks, increasing the propellant capacity from 1,200 tons to 1,500 tons. The forward flaps also got a redesign. They have shrunk in size and they also shifted in location, and both of these things will help better protect them during entry heating while still providing control. There's also a wide range of upgrades that will make the vehicle more reliable, adding redundancy to and the ability to operate for longer durations in space.
One unique aspect of a trip to Mars are the different conditions ship will see when entering the Martian atmosphere. Now, it's difficult to simulate Mars's atmosphere when re-entering on Earth, so we've been testing a variety of heat shield materials inside a specialized plasma jet chamber at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where we're able to more closely simulate Mars's 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere.
Aside from looking awesome, this is important testing. The intense heat of entry will cause the CO2 to break down into its base elements, exposing Starship to atomic oxygen, which increases surface heating and can cause materials to oxidize or start to break down. Spacecraft entering over Mars encountered more than twice the amount of atomic oxygen at their peak when compared to Earth, and that is certainly a unique challenge. As we continue to test, we'll learn more about what makes a great heat shield for Mars. All right, now that we're heading into the final minutes of the countdown, let's go back to Dan for the latest on the ground there at Starbase.
6 minutes, everybody.
Hey, Kate, afraid I have nothing but good news for you. We have a go from our running safety team. We are a little over 90% full on ship, almost 85% full on booster, and not tracking any holds to an on-time liftoff. So we've got about 3 more minutes of prop load. As long as the range stays clear, we don't trip any other holds, we might blow right past that T-minus 40-second mark and lift off right at the top of our window at 4 p.m. Central. So toss it back to you guys one more time, but fun part about to start, we are, what, a little under 6 minutes away from launch.
Love to hear it.
All
There
right,
it goes.
so we are continuing to progress now at 5 minutes and 43 seconds until liftoff. Now, once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure, and the ship will go on to internal power.
Then after that, the quick disconnect, or what we call the QD arm lockout, is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly. However, once the water for the deflector system begins flowing at T-minus 10 seconds, any issue after that would be an automatic scrub for the day, as the teams would need to refill the deflector's water tanks as well as the propellant storage tanks over at the tank farm before we're able to make another attempt.
Now, it is just so unbelievable that it's just been only a little over a month, and we are just a few minutes away from Flight 6. The crowd here is building up. We've got a much larger crowd here than when we were launching at 4 or 5 in the morning out here. So very excited to have an afternoon launch to have all the employees here.
Exactly. Now, just as a reminder, that T-minus 40-second hold, if we opt to use it, everything is still potentially go for launch. So nothing to be worried about there. At that point, basically up until T-minus 40 seconds, all aborts are just holds. This would allow the team to wait for final checkouts to assess propellant levels, engines, avionics, vehicle pressurization, range, weather. Occasionally we've had shrimp boats lingering in the past, but that doesn't sound like that is the case today.
Yeah, not today, no shrimp boats, which is great. Everything so far is looking good. We're getting really excited here, just a few minutes away. We're gonna go back, send it over to Dan in Starbase. How's it going, Dan?
It is still going great, just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away, so we should be done with our prop load on ship momentarily, and about 30 seconds later we'll close out on booster. Our flight control team on board, or in the building just behind me, not on board, some of them might wish they were on board. Flight control team in the building behind me, they're going to have a lot of work to do right after we lift off, as we still have a lot of manual checks that happen on the tower prior to the flight director, who's going to be Tristan Pierce again today, giving a manual command to bring the booster back to the launch site. And the tower did just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for a catch, so we're hoping to see that again today. A lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work, played a huge role in making that catch possible, and looking forward to hopefully seeing that happen again. And of course, sending our first payload to space. You can see the banana. It's very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around. So once we're in a zero gravity environment, we should see our first Starship zero gravity indicator put in on a little bit of a show. And that's looking right in. That's where we're going to have Starlinks. That's our PES deployer. So ready to drive to space. So coming up on about 2.5 minutes, we are closing out on all of our prop load. Just heard that our fill drains are starting to close, so that means we're no longer going to be flowing propellant into the booster and the ship. We're going to do what's called pushbacks. So all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks, clear out everything around the pad right before we light those 33 engines and take off. Just a quick reminder, you're going to see fire start at the bottom. You're going to see the deflector start at about 10 seconds before launch. Lots of water to help dissipate all that heat, all that sound. And then the engine starting up in 3 different groups. And then about a second after T0, we should see liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging. And that's when we're going to be listening really close on those loops to see if we're going to be bringing the booster back for a
final
catch.
warning here from the Liberty Astronaut team. If you guys are recording, everyone record all. Make sure all content is ready to go. If you're in person watching and you're watching a stream, we are T-minus 1 minute. You're hearing this now. I would start watching before the rocket. But in real life, we are T-minus 1 minute. Again, there's going to be a little bit of a delay between the SpaceX feed and ours. So our clock will be on time. Well, we're going to listen in for a hold here briefly. Make sure they blow through that T-minus 40-second hold. Let's listen in here. All eyes on the rocket, though. It's go time.
Key moment to look at in 10 seconds, that T-minus 40. And we flew right through that.
It's going.
Flight directors, go for launch.
Go for launch.
All right, we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship
There's
Flight
the water.
6. This will mark us.
There's ignition. And liftoff. Yes. Liftoff of Starship's full stack Flight 6, second catch attempt. Let's go, baby. Push Starship farther and harder than ever before. Look at that. Yes. Oh, that is gorgeous. Wow. It's beginning to pitch over a little bit. You can see the mock diamonds. And we're now hearing the sound here from 8 kilometers away, 5 miles. The sound is starting to hit us. It's just going to start ramping up here on our end, guys. Get ready for quite the rumble of 33 Raptor engines producing more than twice the thrust of the Saturn V that took humans to the moon. Is propelling that vehicle into space right now as we speak. And holy crap, here it is. Oh, yes. Beautiful launch. Absolutely beautiful launch. Let's listen into SpaceX here. Make sure we're not missing any call outs here. This is absolutely phenomenal. We got 33 engines.
A little over a minute
Maximum
into flight.
dynamic pressure.
We're about 6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call-outs that power telemetry nominal. That's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens.
Wow.
At this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q. Now, coming up in just a little over a minute from now is going to be hot staging. So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down. In what we call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead of main engine. And so while we continue to watch it go up, a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send a manual command.
Looking for that MECO point.
Just about 30 seconds away from hot staging.
Here we go, coming up on hot staging on our end here, so we should start to see those outer engines shut down and go to the center 3 Raptors any second here. There we go. Most engines shut down. Still seeing it, good. Oh, look at that stage separation.
And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Booster engine cut off.
The return flag is set for true.
Holy crap, they already confirmed towers.
Start up. Stage separation.
All right, hot staging confirmed.
Booster
6 out of
boost
6
back,
lit on the ship.
Oh my
Booster
gosh.
boost back going. We heard that we are go for catch. Kate, Jesse, take the views. Hopefully I got a booster coming home real soon.
Wow, from our view here, Dan, great views of planet Earth behind that super heavy booster. Right now it is performing the
Ship
boost
dynamic
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Good news there, telling us that the,
Oh, there we go. I see
the
it. It's
pressures
way up
inside the ship are good. That is the second stage or
Oh,
the
I
upper
barely
portion
see
of
it,
the vehicle.
but I can still see
Follow
it.
along with the telemetry
Wow.
on the bottom of your screen.
You can see the little clouds, puffs
Yeah,
of smoke
booster
up there by
is
the big
currently super heavy.
condensation
Is
cloud up there.
currently in its boost back burn. This boost back
Ship
burn.
avionics power
Wow.
telemetry nominal.
This boost back burn lasts just a little bit over a minute, so we've got a little, approximately 30 seconds left.
We've had shutdown of that boost back burn. Up next will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, And then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Are you
We'll see those
kidding
grid
me?
fins.
Booster offshore divert.
And we
Oh,
can also see that
No.
the hot stage has been jettisoned.
booster
Yes,
offshore
visual
divert.
confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the next
Starship is following a nominal trajectory.
step for
Shoot.
booster is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means
No.
we are no-go for the catch.
No go for catch.
As we said before, both the tower and the vehicle, as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for tower catch.
Crap. No.
And we did mention that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for catch. There's a lot of things that need to go well in order to line that up. Unfortunately, today we will forego booster catch today. But what you're seeing on your screen is ship currently making its way towards the Indian Ocean. Still looking good so far.
Exactly. So views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, we said before that it was not guaranteed that we would be able to make a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was pretty epic on attempt 1, but the safety of the teams and the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are accepting no compromises in any of those areas.
Still see it.
Exactly, and we're still going to get a lot of good flight data with booster even,
It's falling
but especially
so
with ship.
fast.
Again, we have an additional objective today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor engine, which again will help us
Wow.
set us up for being able to do deorbit burns, which is
Ship chamber pressures are nominal.
Is
Which-
glowing like crazy. I don't know if any of
which
our
is
trackers
important
have it,
for
but
orbital
I
flights.
just lost
And what
sight
you're
of it.
seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy as it's making its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, once again, we are attempting an offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watch, watching
Landing
it
burn.
come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas.
Oh, you can see it out there on the ocean.
re-entering. We saw earlier those grid fins,
Wow.
the 4 hypersonic grid fins. Or we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy
Wow.
And same pattern, 13 engines will light.
Wow.
Gone down to 3, just as we expected.
And there it goes, boom. Holy cow.
What an incredible view of splashdown
Oh my
that we got
gosh.
today. Oh, Super Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy cam views will be pretty
Wow.
awesome once again. So we'd like to confirm a water landing once again for the Super Heavy booster.
Oh my
Congrats
gosh.
to the SpaceX team for making that milestone as well. Now, ship
Oh,
continues
man.
to look good. We can see
Wow. Well, it wasn't a catch, but it was exciting nonetheless.
while all of that was happening, the crowd here in Hawthorne continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone is
Starship is in terminal guidance.
great news there. Starship terminal
It's
guidance.
just
referring
chilling
to
on the
what we see
water
on
there
our
still.
Screen, the upper stage at about 8 minutes 35 seconds or so, we have ship engine cutoff, which will be the cutoff of the Raptor engines.
Let's go ahead and get an update with the onboard footage. Let's go picture in picture on this. I'm gonna head inside so I can
We
see
can
stuff.
see on our screen
It's too hard
ship
to see out here.
giving us some incredible views brought to us by Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
And there we just heard call out for SECO, ship engine cutoff. Great news there. Everything continuing to look awesome for ship.
Full view looking aft on ship here.
Ship FTS is saved.
wasn't quite what I was hoping to see. A little bit disappointed that we didn't get a catch today, but we still do have a booster that appears to be mostly intact, floating on top of the Gulf of Mexico here, within range of our tracking assets. Can you believe that? I believe that's probably our camera on top of the on top of Sapphire. And of course, huge shout out to the Cronenbergs who allow us to shoot from their condo unit, which you can rent and actually see this yourself at luxuryrentals-spi.com. But anyway, the fact that we can actually still see this booster here, we're so thankful that we're able to put our telescope and our tracking footage, our content up there, because that is crazy. It did survive the splashdown, and it's just sitting there on top of the water now. You can see it's angled up because of the mass of the boosters and the buoyancy of the vehicle keeps it at an angle there. Meanwhile, Starship appears to be, remember, they said they were pushing things further this time. They said they're going to be pushing things to the limit. Of course, you're going to see stuff falling off. Always ice. That is always, almost without question, ice that's going to be falling off and spinning. As you can see, thrusters are firing, and as they are using the liquid propellant, it will still be, sometimes it gets caught or little bits get, sublimates back into ice or whatever you want to say. I don't know what the right word is there. Too excited. But the fact that we actually are sitting here still watching the booster and they haven't triggered the FTS yet is absolutely wild. That's a booster that fell from space, massively on fire, seemed to have some huge explosion when it hit the water, but now it seems to be mostly intact. That is crazy. That is crazy, and if they do anything like they did after Flight 4, they'll likely try to recover most of this booster just so they don't leave any wreckage anywhere. But this is absolutely phenomenal. Again, we're going to see the ship re-enter here. It's going to be doing its, let's see, it'll be doing its, let's look at the pre-launch preview. What's it say? The training to do. In-space demo is going to be about 37 minutes into flight. We expect to see the Raptor relight, and that would be awesome. So at least we can hopefully still see some progress and milestones today. It seems like, the booster was a bit of a reversion backwards from the catch from last time, but at least it's, hopefully it's learning. They learn, what could have gone better. I was so expecting when they said, the towers go for catch. I was like, all right, here we go. But all the criteria, thousands of levels of criteria need to be met. And if even one little thing is wrong with the booster, it could be any number of things that we don't have enough data to know on. Yeah, that's why the booster could have aborted. But you do see it's still clearly on fire, held up pretty darn well for tipping over. It did its soft splashdown and then tipped over. So they basically do a simulated tower catch again, where they control it right down to the last minute, and then at some point it has to still fall over because obviously there's nothing there to support it. So it tips over, and obviously when you have a vehicle that's 70 meters tall, 230 feet tall, 240 feet tall, whatever it is, when you have something like that tipping over, and smacks the water, you better believe stuff's going to break off it. And that's obviously what we see. Yeah. And John's reporting to us that the booster's actually drifting and being moved around by the wind, and hopefully it doesn't get pushed up on shore. I'm sure they will end up triggering FTS at some point. So keep recording. All teams, keep recording, because we might see a beautiful flight termination system be utilized in order to actually get this thing to sink and go down. So we'll have to see how that turns out. I guarantee I wanted to turn this camera off from recording inside here. Guarantee if I stand up and do that, that's right when it'll blow up. So I better not do that. I'm going to be fairly glued to this. Again, huge thank you to everyone that's watching with us. We're pretty fortunate to be able to provide coverage of the booster even after it's splashed down. And hopefully we see more great stuff happen again. At T plus 37 minutes, we expect to see the relight of the Raptor engine test. But let's do another quick reminder for everyone too. I'm hearing word that we are getting way closer to selling out than I think we imagined for Astro Awards. So if you do want to attend our 2-day festival, where we have panels, debates, keynote speeches from people like Charlie Duke, Apollo 16 astronaut. You can see an Apollo astronaut who's walked on the moon in person. share his experiences. Charlie Duke will be at the Astro Awards. We also have the crew of players, Don. We'll have a lot of awesome people attending and giving speeches and panels and keynotes, such as John Kraus, Jack Beyer from NSF. We have people coming from the entire crew of players. Dawn will be there and doing a panel on their mission. We have, of course, the Astro Awards themselves, where we'll be giving awards away to the most exciting and important, innovative, and inspirational missions of 2024. So we'll be inviting people, just like we did last year, where we actually brought people out and handed them physical awards for their amazing work and for the inspiration that it brings all of us. If you want to take part and see that in person, meet amazing people, and just gather and have fun and party, January 25th, 26th, Austin, Texas, the Astro Awards. Go to astroowards.live. Again, that's astroowards.live. Get your tickets now. We've already sold out of our VIP packages. We got that 0G indicator showing now. You can see some slack on the one string. That is hilarious. And of course, a little bit of mist again. That is so funny. A banana in space. But yeah, Astro Awards. I hope we see you guys there. We are ramping up everything compared to last year. So excited about it. So excited for it. And everything's already looking like a huge, huge upgrade from last year. Yes, last year was kind of a minimum viable product. This year we're going all in. So yeah, let's get back to a few of your questions and everything. People are wondering a few questions about that pet dispenser. You know, that's a pretty early on pet dispenser that we're seeing. Not quite indicative of what we're likely deploying. Look at that. It's kind of hard to tell. Did it lose its top? Like, what blew up? Because it kind of looks almost like it's already missing the top tank, almost. The methane tank, like, I don't know. That is crazy. Wow. Look at those shots of Starship in orbit. Well, orbit-ish. At an altitude of 183 kilometers. Absolutely beautiful. You can tell how close it is to orbital velocity. You know, orbital velocity is roughly 28,000 kilometers an hour, and it's 26,300. And currently going down because it is increasing in altitude, but that speed will go, velocity will go back up as it's coming back down on its orbital path. So we will see speeds beyond that, which again is pretty indicative of orbital velocities. From Ron Rudan saying, hey, you haven't seen my membership. I sincerely apologize when I miss things. All of your support is so unbelievably generous, and from the bottom of our hearts, it literally is what makes this possible. We could not do the coverage that we're doing and reinvest hundreds of thousands of dollars into gear to be able to do this for you guys. And obviously, again, for ourselves, we'll record this history so that in the future generations, in 40, 50 years from now, people can look back and actually, we want to make sure we're capturing that imagery as best as we possibly can. So thank you. That is thanks to you. Unfortunately, just due to there being over 160,000 people or whatever it was, we are not able to catch everything. But we will just kind of shotgun a few of these here quick and just put a few of them on air, because again, thank you so much to all of you that are new and thanking, and the members and the super chats that all totally makes this possible. Gigi, we did talk a little bit about putting Orion on Starship a little bit earlier. The reality is, I think it'd be relatively, in the world of spaceflight, it'd be relatively easy. In the world of SpaceX spaceflight, it'd be relatively easy to make a dummy adapter. No big deal. Absolutely no big deal. To be able to adapt, to be able to, instead of flying the ICPS, just make a payload adapter that fits Orion. I think they could do that in 6 months. If they put a huge cupola on the Dragon capsule in 6 months and have it human rated, I think they can make an expendable Starship with that massive factory that cranks these things out once a month. They could do that in 6 months. This is from Daniel Sundberg. Daniel, good to hear from you again. Will there be less heat dissipation on entry to Mars due to less atmosphere? So I can't speak exact numbers here, but generally yes. But the thing is, you still need to scrub off the same amount of energy in the atmosphere. So it just means you'll stay in the atmosphere longer. So the total amount of energy is the same, or relatively the same, depending on the terminal velocity, obviously. At the very end, so your final burn, you'll have to use more propellant to burn and do a landing burn on Mars. Although it has lower gravity, so it has much less atmosphere. But you'd be surprised though how the heating, like a Starship gets unbelievably hot when it's still up at you know, 80 kilometers. And at 80 kilometers, that's pretty similar to Mars's atmosphere, at, you know, just slightly above ground level. And so Starship will be re-entering much lower in Mars's atmosphere, but the conditions will probably be relative, and they'll design the flight profile around the limitations of the heat shield to be able to, you know, stay within kind of those bounds. We will have to see, though. Tom Richardson, thank you so much for your support, and same with Mark. I did see someone say fly a drone out there and check it out. It is still a TFR. There's still a temporary flight restriction. We're showing a personal Twitter feed. We need to update that. There we go. Yeah, look at Booster, though. That is still on fire, still floating. She's gonna go boom. John, we probably should recenter that just in case it does go boom. We want to get maximum boomage. It is drifting out of frame ever so slowly. You can see it. That is absolutely unbelievable, though. From the ground, can the people at Isla Blanca see this? Like, are any of our ground cameras, Mr. T and stuff, capable of seeing it? It's over the horizon from the ground. Okay, we're trying to figure out how far away it is. Based on what? Trigonometry? Based on the curve of the Earth? Interesting. We've got a helicopter flying through the shot. So, we're trying to get a sense of where it actually is. How far out it is. But yeah, do not fly a drone. It is still a temporary flight restriction. That is still a no-fly zone. We got that banana again. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's see here. Let's see. I'll try to get through a few of these again. And we're guessing about roughly 100 meters tall or whatever, a little under, 90 meters tall. We're able to see this. So do a curve of the Earth calculator and you'll be able to actually figure out pretty much where we're at. So again, remember, stick around. In 15 minutes. We're coming up on that Raptor relight demonstration, which is really exciting. Really exciting. All right, here, let's keep going here. From Titus, Alex, big fan since many years. Do you judge the biggest inspiration for the Starship stack being from Apollo or the N1, or simply a new innovation? I think frankly, all rockets derive some inspiration from previous work, but frankly, this is a clean slate on just about every imaginable prospect. I did a video on the N1 versus Starship, and it's so funny. I actually read comments of people saying, well, this didn't age well. It's like, did you watch the video? I basically said that Starship will fly way more and be successful, unlike N1, because it has a lot more freedom to fail, and it's not reliant on Sergei Korolyov, who unfortunately died and canceled. When he died, the program died. And I talked more about the iterative design process and the fact that we have all these, a way to be able to produce these things frequently, and we're seeing exactly that. So frankly, that video is bang on, and I'm really proud of that video. So I'm proud of all the videos we produce because we put a lot of time and effort into them. And I pointed to the similarities of the number of engines on the N1 and the number of engines on Starship. I don't think there's anything like, hey, the N1 had 30 engines, let's do 33. It's just literally like physics derived. It's like, here's our engine, here's our engine's footprint. How many of these can we fit within this diameter to get the most amount of thrust and still have gimbling capabilities to fit within our reusability architecture? It's just questions, answers, questions, answers, questions, answers is what designed the rocket, really. I don't think it's necessarily any one inspiration, but it's a conglomeration of all inspiration and clean slate. Let's see here. Let's see. Why not put it? This is from Pleb Dominus Rex. Why not put a big upper stage on Starship We already have a commercial lunar orbit. Why not NASA have a private company build a commercial deep space capsule which is Orion? Well, that's the ultimate thing with the Artemis program, is that frankly the SLS and Orion are the only cities left that are in a fixed price contract. So will that survive this next administration, especially with the influence that Elon Musk appears to be having within the administration? I don't know. I don't know if it can survive. It should survive. I'm becoming less of a fan of a program that flies once every 4 years and costs $4, $5, $6 billion every year, whether or not it flies. It seems less sustainable these days in a world where $4 billion so far has gotten us 6 launches. Most that launches extremely I don't know. I just don't. Yeah, people need to remember, if Starship was just trying to launch mass and just trying to go expendable, they could have done that on Flight 2 and had, probably sure, Flight 3. They could have had a full duration burn and put 200 tons into orbit. The problem with getting a lot of mass into orbit is solved. That is a solved problem. They can do that. The real challenge is reusability, recoverability, and reusability. And that's what they're still trying to solve with this investigation. They got more data today than they did last time, or different data. Not maybe more as in, not more than, but they got more data today to go along with their data from Flight 5 to help shape the envelope, help shape the protocols, help shape the engineering, the hardware around what's going to happen to be able to build the next version, version 2, version 3, as they continue to iterate. Just like the first Falcon 9s that landed, we saw them fly once. It was like, wow, they reflew it. And it wasn't until they built Block 5 that we actually saw them properly reusing boosters 20 times, right? And that's a similar approach we'll see here. We'll see some demonstrations like these. These are all tech demos. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So Zach, by the way, from CSI Starbase, Zach Golden pointed out that the lightning tower and the actual little the comms tower at the top of the tower may have been damaged. If we can get Mr. T pointed on the very tippity top of the tower, we might be able to see that it does appear to be crooked, and that could be. Well, it said catch go from the. I thought it said catch go from the tower. They said tower catch go, but you can see that the little. I think there's some weather elements up there, communications. That does appear to be knocked back a decent amount. Not sure if that had anything to do with the aborted check attempt. It is something to note. Thanks for pointing that out to Zach. We're estimating more like 24 miles, by the way, from the booster location, based on where the helicopter is circling. So we're kind of looking at its flight radar. Can you pull that up? We want to do. I'll send you that link and all. Planes at skedaddle, which might mean a sign of something coming. All right, let's keep all eyes peeled on the left screen there. If the planes are out of there, it might mean that we're going to see this thing go kaboom, and it might be quite spectacular because they will actually have to trigger flight termination system to do that. So let's keep all eyes on that. I'm going to just try to not look away too much. I'm going to try not to look away too much. But that might be exciting. Yell at me. Give me a good audio. As you see it start to go, so I don't miss it. But let's keep trying to answer a few questions. I can't yell because you're going to kill me. Thank you so much to Alejo, I'm guessing, from Argentina. Oops, I didn't realize that was political. Didn't mean to do that. Trying to avoid that. I know everyone's got things they're excited about, but today we're talking spaceflight only, my friends. I think SpaceX has never aborted the Starship IFT attempt, right? They did abort IFT-1 from April 17th to April 20th. Other than that, every single one now has gone off on their first. I mean, granted, like yesterday, do you count yesterday as a scrub? Because it was supposed to launch yesterday, but that wasn't like a mechanical, purely weather thing. They flew it today because of weather considerations. So, yeah, basically more or less, no. Starship did not really scrub after the first one at all. Absolutely. Jeff Bergman, someone for becoming a member. Nick D, what do I think of the next 4 years? Starts to look like point-to-point landings on Earth? No. Moon landings, hopefully Mars? No. I think that, I really do think, John, we have John point the camera down a tiny bit just so that if this thing does go boom while we have comments up, we don't miss out on part of the explosion because of the comments. Perfect. Thank you, John. That's great. That'll be good. Fantastic. Don't wanna ruin that opportunity. But yeah, I think in 4 years we will have. Wow, look at it! It's like pitching up like crazy. I wonder if this is still continuing to rain. You can see it rocking up and down. It's sinking. It must be bringing water in. Maybe they opened up all the hill valves. They're just letting it take on water. Or it's being eaten alive. Wow. But I think, as far as where will this vehicle be in 4 years, I think we're gonna see more of this. We're gonna see, more catching, more throwing, more progress. I think in 4 years we hopefully will have obviously operational payloads being deployed. I think we'll have the tanker solution easily figured out. I think we'll have landed the Starship on the moon in 4 years. And the ultimate question is, 4 years, will they be sending that first Starship uncrewed off to Mars? First 1 or 2 off to Mars? Maybe. If they can have 4, I think they need 4 towers. I think they need to be flying these things weekly at that point. Wow, it is moving so much. But yeah, I think we're still not going to see Mars, but hopefully we see at least an uncrewed lunar lander Starship. That time frame, and hopefully 4 years by then, maybe Jared Eisman will go on. Let's see. Interesting, Rick. Do Rick bolts have a rigid airframe? Blimps have an envelope pushed off. I was wrong. I thought the whole thing lighter than air. All those types of rigid is rigid. What is that? Yeah. Well, there we go. Let's see. Gimbal undo? No, absolutely. I say Elon's name all the time. What are you talking about? See, this is what I'm talking about. Someone out there is taking what I'm saying and they're filtering it to their own viewpoint. And I've been talking about Elon the whole time. And I'm proud of the work that Elon does. Absolutely. But like I said, I'm here to talk about rockets. When people put more onto that, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not a political candidate. I don't understand how people still, despite me saying what we're doing, we're watching a rocket launch. Period. How does that still get filtered through? Yeah, but don't. Enjoy what we have. We have a beautiful world that is being explored by the most powerful rocket of all time. I mean, this is crazy stuff. Ben Moran, do I think Sea Dragon rockets could be resurrected in the near future due to an increased demand for power? Much love from Northern Ireland. I think sea launch is the absolute wrong way to go. It's just basically a big, giant, dumb, inefficient rocket. And it could only take up that massive vehicle prototype for concept. Would only launch about an Apollo. So it's like 10 times bigger and can only do, than Starship, and can only do 1/10 of the payload capability of what Starship is. So I think the right answer is fully reusable. I don't think a big, giant, dumb booster is good. By the way, we are kind of caught up on the Raptor relay. So let's maybe go picture side by side again, and it has just been bananas. This is that ability. Kind of fun, not bad. Also, make sure to see the so thank you so much, Louder Simmons. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Fintan Bork, 3 boosters, 1 Starship, bigger Dragon. No, they will never do a super heavy booster. That is like a super heavy, like a Starship heavy where you have tri-core. SpaceX learned, and Elon's talked about it a few times, that that's not the way to go. It's easier to make, especially at this scale now, when we have a production cycle, it's easier to make a bigger booster to meet your needs, to meet the needs of launch capacity. than it is to do, you know, multiple staging events and have double the vehicles on it. So it's just a lot more, you know, it's a lot more straightforward to upscale the vehicle, especially something like Raptor on Starship where you have 33 engines now, 20 engines on the outside. You could add another ring to that. You can literally make it a, you know, from going from 9 meters wide, they could go to 12 meters wide or whatever, and, you know, potentially put another 33, you know, double the amount of engines and double the diameter, or not double, but go from 9 to 12, and at least, you know, double the mass of the vehicle. So we're getting close, by the way, to that Raptor relight. This is from Painting on the Ceiling. I was there for the last lunch, and it was amazing. The catch of the heavy rocket was stunning. I'm so sad. I don't want to think about it too much. I'm still in shock that we have this here, because this is also pretty exhilarating. But I am sad that I still haven't seen the catch. Ah, man. What camera do I use? Oh, man. We use a lot of cameras. We use Z cams. We use Blackmagic cameras. We use... yeah, there is some lighting going on Starship, which it's way too high up to be getting any atmosphere. Oh, that could be lightning down on Earth. It might be flying over a storm. And that illumination would be likely from the plume of the maneuver thrusters. Yeah, there appears to be like it's overflying. Look at all the lightning. That's cool. Almost guarantee that's what that is. A city below. They're probably flying over Africa as we speak right now, actually. That's really cool. Likely a storm there. I hope the orangish glow is not a fire on board. Let's listen in to hear what SpaceX is saying.
Seeing some thunderstorms down on the ground. That's pretty cool. But this is not a deorbit burn. If we didn't fire this engine, we're on a intentional suborbital trajectory. So no matter what, we're coming in over the Indian Ocean. Firing off the engine does change your exact splashdown point a little bit, but we've got this keep out zone across the entire Indian Ocean that we made sure was clear ahead of flight, and we continue to monitor during, but we're going to aim for that in orbit maneuvers, and then for landing burn. So if we make it to a landing burn today, we'll be using them for that as well. So we should be coming up in just about the next minute. Should be under a minute now away from that expected ship burn.
It's likely venting so much. You do see all that.
And again,
gas.
We've relit Raptors pretty frequently. We just did it with the landing burn and that boost back burn on the booster, and we've done it on ship landing burns. We just haven't done it in this microgravity environment where your propellant management and a lot of other things are different as you're not
Relay
down
will
the
start
force
up.
of Earth's gravity.
Here we go.
And
Just
shut down.
heard the call out for startup.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's some
Yes.
light. There's that Raptor
There's some
relit.
ice.
It's shut down.
Sweet. It's
All
still in
right,
one
there
piece.
You have it. The first time ever lighting a Raptor while in outer space, other than our ascent burn. So really cool to see that relit. That's a pretty critical capability that we're going to need when we're doing orbital missions in the not too distant future. So check another one off. That was a really cool. That was an objective we really wanted to hit on this one, and so good to see ship knock that one out in orbit. But for now, we're going to coast for just a little bit longer, and then it'll be time for ship entry. So we'll get the usual light show as we return from hypersonic velocities. We're just starting to do the entry prep for that, so we're going to get the flaps positioned, and then it's going to start taking the brunt of all of that heat as you're coming in from well in excess of 10,000 miles an hour. That's all going to build up a lot of heat as you're encountering an increasing atmosphere, building up that friction. And we're going to see how the tiles fare. We've also got some pretty cool tile experiments that we'll talk about in a little bit. But coming up real soon, ship re-entry, successful relight, and we'll start this entry part soon.
That was awesome. I do have to correct Dan quick. Nothing obviously against it. It's a common misconception. People say the heat gets built up from friction. There's actually very little friction that causes heating. It's actually mostly the compression of the oncoming airstream. So you're coming in. This vehicle is going at 20. Get compressed. Look at all those thrusters firing. That is cool. I feel like we're already seeing some re-entry dynamics. That just must be venting of the warm gas thrusters. That's cool. Let's keep the booster up though. Just yeah, there we go. Perfect. Look at that. I like that. We got a bigger full screen and a sweet. Sorry. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew is just one step ahead as always. Yeah, we don't want to lose that booster though, because either it'll do a Titanic sad slow sink, or it'll give us a little bit of a fireworks show. But man, I can't help but think that already looks like re-entry plasma, right? I mean, I didn't think we really started to see the Starship entry is supposed to be at 47 minutes. I don't know, I guess. I don't think the burn would change its trajectory. All that much. We should see is actually once it's finished re-entry and it's subsonic, so in the last 2 minutes of descent, once it's below a few what is it, probably 30 kilometers or whatever, 20 kilometers, when the thing's just belly flopping, or maybe like 10 is when it goes subsonic. And then they're going to try nosediving, so putting it way out of control, basically way out of whack, way out of its normal flight profile. And they're going to see if they can still recover from it. So basically pushing the envelope of this vehicle. Nope. Often landing in Brownsville or Mexico, or landing in McAllen or wherever, we don't want pieces of this vehicle falling apart or breaking up. So the more re-entry tests they do, the better. And the harder they push it and know the limits of it, the better. Absolutely. So by Alejo, by the way, we were talking about which cameras do you use. We use a lot. We use a lot. We have Z cams, we have Blackmagic cameras, we have Free Fly Embers are some of our highest end. Those are global shutter, 420 frames a second, shooting at 4K ProRes. And they are unbelievably huge files. And we have some red cameras. We have some, we have a lot of Z cams. We use the Z cams a lot. We have a lot of Blackmagic. We've got the Panasonic Lumixes are what we use at night. The S5, is it 2? Mark 2? I think, S5 2 or something. I don't remember the exact one anymore. But it's kind of, we use that because it's high ISO sensitivity. I think we shoot it, don't we shoot it at like 512 ISO or something absurd? Like 128,000 ISO or something like ridiculous. And it's still able to produce, really clear results at night, which is why we use that camera and that solution. So, yeah, we have a lot of cameras, different cameras based on different needs. So, this is from Charles. Olivers Dufour saying, here watching from Montreal, Quebec. I hope very hard that I'll be able to see this in real life. I hope you do too. Like I said, it is The launch is amazing. I can't wait to see a catch for the first time. That will be something that I'm really, really looking forward to. There we go. We can see ice building up on that vent line because of the relight. That's crazy. You can see how it looks like it's like cold. It's so weird that it's already. I mean, it could be. 51,200 ISO, by the way, is the max on those lenses. They don't go to 500. I don't remember. Here is the camera that does that. Yeah, this is, I mean, this has to be plasma. Like, that's, it's just, it seems like it's earlier than it was before, which I'm not entirely understanding why or how that could be. Looks like we have the front flap on the bottom left, the aft flap in the middle, and looking out of the engine skirt at the top. This is from Jordy. Good to hear from you, Jordy. Hey Tim, go Team EA, sub since 2018. Awesome. With Starship landing over the Indian Ocean, how does SpaceX simulate the accuracy of the imaginary tower catch? Based on GPS, basically. And then also they have buoys out there that you can triangulate using multiple buoys to really precisely demonstrate the accuracy. But also using military grade GPS can be a lot higher accuracy than terrestrial than our normal GPS. I think down to, why do I feel like I heard 10 centimeters? I don't know if that's accurate, but it's, let's say it's more accurate than what us civilians can use. And I'm guessing, yeah, it's probably more accurate than the government wants us to use, probably, for sure. Very accurate GPS options. And yeah, so that's how they do it. They just basically make sure that it lands where they intended it to land based on GPS. And that's good enough, if you know and it lands right where it said it's going to land, based on telemetry and all that, so we can tell orientation and if it would have been successful. So, all right, they are chatting, and let's listen in here.
Executed a planned divert to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, obviously we were hoping to come back to the tower, but this was a test and we knew that it was a very viable possibility.
Starship is at 85 kilometers. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
All right, great news there, turning our attention over to the star of the show here, giving us these amazing views once again. We heard the call out there telling us that the Starship vehicle is now 83 kilometers above, coming up around T plus, well now actually, the ship, as you can see, is beginning to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. As a reminder, one of the main goals of today's flight test is for the ship to make it through the extreme heat of re-entry and to do so in a controlled manner. Now, re-entry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communication capability with the spacecraft because it's re-entering at or around orbital velocity, which is roughly 8 kilometers per second or about 5 miles per second. Now at those speeds, yep, pretty fast, the spacecraft is moving through the atmosphere rather quickly, and that results in friction, as we can see that starting to happen on our screen, and this creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so it's not uncommon to experience brief blackouts in communication.
Starship is approaching the peak heating phase of entry.
Wow, already.
And we just heard we're getting into the peak heating phase. We're getting these views courtesy of Starlink. We've got 4 different terminals on the ship itself. It's what's really allowed us to get real-time data during what's otherwise been just a mystery box, essentially, for spacecraft design, where when you're re-entering through the atmosphere, at least getting anything in real time hasn't ever been possible before, but we're able to not just get these views, but real-time telemetry from the ship as it's coming through. Do really want to stress that we are really pushing the ship today. The heat shield is not in the same configuration as it was last flight, where we had a team of ship techs do just an otherworldly task, replacing the entire heat shield. thousands of tiles, installing a backup of LATIV, and that pretty much set us up to do a pinpoint landing on Flight 5. We did not do that with this one. We have some backup in those really sensitive areas around the flat, but this is an older generation heat shield. And knowing we weren't going to do that, we even went and removed some extra tiles. There are some missing tiles on the nose cone where we're testing some backups. There are some steel covered tiles in a couple of different spots. And there's also a whole lot more steel of the ship showing. As you guys talked about, we gave it a little bit of a haircut, a couple hundred tiles trimmed off the sides, and that's where we might have catch fittings in the future. But ooh, color's starting to come in, so it looks like things are going to start heating up, Kate and Jesse.
Yeah, fun fact, Dan, we actually removed 2,100 heat shield tiles from Starship in order to basically present that necessary receding line, which you kind of can see there in your view. Think back to previous flights, the heat shield line came up further on the vehicle, and just like Dan said, we want to test the vehicle beyond what we think it is capable of carrying based on our simulations and calculations. So once again, to just be super plain, don't be surprised if we see some wackadoodle stuff happen here. We won't be. There are a number of things that we are testing out intentionally to see what the ship can take.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what those limits are will really help us design the vehicle of the future. Essentially, removing those tiles helps us remove a lot of weight from the vehicle, a lot of things that might potentially need refurbishment in the future. And the goal is to come up with a heat shield pattern or design that we don't have to refurbish. We can just continue to use it over and over again. And that's why we're changing some of those tiles and moving stuff around, removing a lot of those tiles, as Kate has been mentioning.
Exactly. And, you know, looking forward to the Starship capability of the future, we want to be able to catch Starship like we do with boosters. And so the next flight, we want to better understand where we can install catch hardware, not necessarily to actually do the catch, but to see how that hardware holds up in those spots. And today's flight will help inform, you know, does the stainless steel hold up like we think it may based on experiments that we conducted on Flight 5? Now, continuing to look, amazing views. Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there's so much on this flight that we're doing to try and, you know, make all the ships that we're about to start flying even better, just really understand what their capabilities are gonna be. We've got kind of the next gen ship lined up for Flight 7. It's got all of those heat shield upgrades and everything. And one of the things that we're going to be doing that's most interesting, and one of the reasons we want to daylight, is we're going to be flying pretty aggressively as ships comes in. We're going to be kind of nose down. And we've done it in wind tunnels, we've done it in simulations. You might see the flaps really flapping around trying to control the vehicle. We're betting we might have a little bit more capability than we think in just the analysis, but always a chance that bet doesn't pay off. That just helps us know, like, what are our
Starship is now halfway through the peak heating phase of entry.
Sweet. Halfway there, halfway home, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys, again, can follow along with the altitude and the speed of ship as it's making its way back down to Earth, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, speed is still going really, really fast. Again, as it gets closer to Earth, we'll see that altitude drop a little bit faster. It's kind of dropping pretty slow right now. And again, as we get closer and closer to literally the surface of the water, then we'll start to see that speed pick up. And if we can make it through this re-entry, we will attempt to do that flip maneuver once again and splash down in the ocean.
Exactly. Like we've been saying, we are testing beyond the perceived limits of the vehicle. We want to go learn more about the ship, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So really pushing the flight hardware in a flight environment to help inform these future designs. As we've mentioned, it has a different heat shield. This heat shield is a not the same generation as what we flew last time. This one is one generation older. So we are also testing out new secondary thermal protection materials. So basically, like if the heat shield isn't in this one spot, can this other material protect the metal is the thinking there. Also checking out the ship's structural strength in those areas where we're looking to add that ship catch hardware just to see if it survives entry. So yeah, as we've been saying, we've done a lot of calculations and simulations. This view right here is super cool. This is looking out from the aft engine bay, basically at the bottom of Starship. Then on the center left-hand panel, if you will, we have one of the forward Starship flaps, so one of the flaps located at the top of the vehicle. Underneath that is one of the aft end flaps, like the one that we see in the main picture there on the right-hand side of your screen. Now these views as the vehicle continues to enter the Earth's atmosphere, drawing a crowd once again here at SpaceX and Hawthorne as folks tune in as the mission continues on. Now the next event that we have coming up, we should hear the call out that the vehicle is transonic around T plus 1 hour and 2 minutes or so. That means that the vehicle is traveling near the speed of sound. We say near the speed of sound because there are certain parts of the vehicle where airflow is going faster and other parts where it's going slower. So it kind of teeters there on the brink of the speed of sound. So once we have equal flow on all parts, then we'll hear it's subsonic.
Yeah, and
and almost real quick, almost a reversing. I'm sorry, Jesse. Almost a reverse before we see the Earth start. We've got sunrise there over the Indian Ocean. So this is going to look different from any of the re-entries we've had before. And it was specifically so like we get as much daylight as possible to see how ship does this. Over to you, Jesse. Sorry about that.
Dan, you great minds think alike. That's exactly what I was going to point out, is that we're getting a lot clearer view of the Earth in the background with the different temperatures that we're seeing with the different colors of that plasma around the ship, which is really, really cool to see. Again, we are pushing the limits of ship today, but so far everything is looking pretty nominal. We'll see how the next few minutes goes.
Yeah, like we've said before, don't be surprised if this is not entirely smooth sailing all the way down to the ocean's surface. Similar to Flight 5, we are targeting the same splashdown location in the Indian Ocean, but we are not expecting to recover the vehicle.
Right, and we were getting some glimpses of the flaps. The flaps so far are looking pretty good. We're not seeing any burn through. There's those flaps again in that hinge area, which is our most concerning area there. That's great news for us for now. Again, the next few minutes could change as we continuously push those limits.
Once we slow down a little bit, once we're subsonic essentially, so I think that's about 1,200 kilometers an hour. Once we're down below that, that's when we're going to kind of dip our nose down and get that more aggressive angle of attack. Normally we're just belly flop right into the water, pretty much that position. But if we're going to be able to do return to launch sites, we're going to want to be able to fly with a little bit more of an angle of attack, get you a little bit more range as you're coming through. And so this'll be just a test to see quite how far can we push it. But obviously we're going to do these kind of tests way out here in super remote areas before you ever try to bring a ship back to a place like Starbase.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory. External temperatures are coming down.
Good.
All right, great news there. That tells us that we are through the phase of peak heating. So we are expecting these temperatures to continue to come down. Once again, we are targeting a soft splashdown in the ocean around off the northwest coast of Australia. We can see these beautiful views of planet Earth coming in. Yeah, this is very different, where we had nighttime views of the ship as it was re-entering, and now we've got daylight. It is about an hour or so after sunrise there in the Indian Ocean, so pretty cool to see this.
Yeah, and it might not seem like it makes a huge difference, but we do get a little bit more light on ship as well for the camera views that we have, which is very beneficial for us to visually see anything and try and correlate that to any of the sensors or data that we have on the vehicle.
Exactly. That is why
Just
we
cool it
shifted
down.
our launch window so that we could have that daylight in order to improve our observations of the vehicle. So not only are we getting all the raw data from all the sensors that are on board Starship, but we also have multiple cameras and assets out there that are watching the vehicle and will also be able to tell us with this visual story that is also very, very important.
And as we get down a little bit lower, the Raptor engines are in their chill phase right now, so just essentially getting them primed to turn on. We're going to use those 3 center engines to do a landing flip and then a landing burn. So we'll come down kind of in that slightly pointed down belly flop and then fire off those engines to flip us around and then do that final landing burn. That should be coming up in just a little over, just under 5 minutes from now. And then hopefully we start hearing some call outs on transonic and subsonic as we slow down. Again, once you hear Starship as subsonic, keep a close eye on the flaps. They're going to be working overtime essentially to maintain control of the ship as we get a little more aggressive with this.
Wow. It's surviving. Again, surprising. Again.
We can see that we are
Starship
beginning.
has passed maximum entry dynamic pressure.
All right, great call out there, but we can see on this view here that we do have some heating there on that looks like one of the forward flaps on Starship. This is to be expected. We knew that the vehicle would perform differently than what we had seen on Flight 5. This is actually really good data because it tells us what parts of the vehicle at this, what will soon be a higher angle of attack once we drop down below the speed of sound. We'll have a higher angle of attack, meaning we're going to be flying nose down, basically.
Pointing down,
So yeah,
pointing up.
this is good news, but we can actually, looks like that heating is starting to cool off there.
Yeah, it's a little burn through. Again, it is important to note when we start seeing that through the ship's descent as well. So like Kate was saying, we're getting some really good data here. Looks like the other flaps are doing a little better than the one that has a little burn through, which is some good news. Again, constantly watching. We've got a couple minutes until we're expecting to make it all the way back down the road.
Exactly. And like we said before, we are not expecting to recover the ship, although that would be great. That'd be a nice bonus if it happened, but it's not really in our expectations today. We really want to push the hardware, as we've been saying, but really the telemetry and the data and the video that we receive all the way to the end is truly what we're looking for and will help inform the future designs of this vehicle.
Cool, it's getting close to
We can see
subsonic.
some flap movement as the camera is moving around. That's what you're seeing there is the flaps adjusting. We have a camera on one of the flaps there this is the view that you're seeing there.
You can see how toasty it is. You can see the discoloration.
And you can
of
also
stainless
see
steel.
the graphic in the bottom.
Starship is slowing down past Mach 1.
And call outs aligning with this. You can see the orientation of the vehicle starting to change. You can follow that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Again, that is why those flaps are changing. They control the orientation of the vehicle.
Here comes that nosedive, I
Yeah,
guess.
there are
Yeah,
four.
this is.
Go ahead, Dan.
Starship has started the subsonic belly
Sounds good.
flop, remains on a good trajectory.
I was gonna say this is when things will start to get a little interesting. So this is when we're moving slower than the speed of sound. You can see that nose slowly start to tip down, and we're gonna try and maintain flap control the whole way. But we are just a couple minutes away from hopefully doing a landing flip, and landing burn if the flaps can hold together.
Yeah, this is such a cool view. This reminds me of when we first performed the belly flop maneuver on the high altitude test with serial number 8. We saw the ship come back through, and I always wondered what it looked like from the ship's perspective, and this perspective I think helps inform that. We will be, as Dan said, we will be dipping down a little further and we will be flying nose first.
Not seeing
This
it
higher
yet.
angle of attack we're intentionally doing it to stress those aft flaps, and that will help inform the limits of flap control in order to collect data for future landing profiles.
It doesn't appear to be pitching down too much.
We're looking good so far. We've just got about 5 kilometers in altitude to go. We'll ignite the engines when we're still just a couple hundred meters over the ground, do that flip.
Starship is passing through 5 kilometers altitude, remains on a good trajectory.
I have a feeling this is going to look so cool as it passes through the clouds.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Obligatory shout out to the entire avionics team on Starship.
It's the engine cool
There's
down.
that
That's why
nose
it's
down
got so
orientation.
much smoke coming off it now. It's cooling down the engines for relay.
Now the Raptor engines will relight and help flip the booster back up. This is a more severe flip given the orientation. The engines will shut down prior to the water making impact, prior to the vehicle making impact with the water.
Our ship is doing great so far. There's those engines relighting.
What a great reorientation by Starship.
Oh, look at that!
All 3 down to 2.
Starship is landing.
Wow.
We have ship splashed down in the Indian Ocean.
Oh, and the buoy cam again!
Awesome buoy cam action here. Daylight views.
Oh, it's split in half.
Incredible. We
Wow.
really pushed the limits on shipping and made it all the way back down to Earth.
I am shocked, to be honest. I think many folks are. The fact that it survived all the way through while flying a lesser gen heat shield is just absolutely incredible. And turns out the vehicle had more capability than our calculations predicted. And that is why we test like we fly.
Exactly why we do that. And those views were absolutely incredible to watch. Because of Starlink, we were able to get the views all the way down, as well as the buoys, seeing ship touchdown in daylight.
So cool, so cool. Now we want to, unfortunately, wrap up the show.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
We'll say congratulations to our teammates at SpaceX and to everyone who supported the Starship program. And thank you to all of our
we make so long.